Rudy Burkhardt. Uh, this is Cut Your Lead Times 4 is the view worth the climb. And I continue to claim the view is worth the climb. Today we're going to talk about three stories of people that have implemented something to shorten their lead time to create greater availability in their products. This is me again. I'm not going to go over that. You can read it if you can. So we're talking number 4, the implementation story. Is the climb difficult? Well, we'll see from these two ladies in a printed circuit board assembly plant. They completed their education on a Friday morning actually, and at the end of the morning I asked them, when do we start? And the two ladies, the plant manager and her assistant, looked at each other and said, started to say something, and so I suggested, how about Monday? They looked at each other again and says, no, Monday won't work, but how about Tuesday? So we started the following Tuesday. 2 months later, they had 45% less WIP. But before we get there, what happened on that week after that Tuesday, we had to tell the people in the factory that nothing was wrong. We still had plenty of orders because since we were going to cut lead times, we were going to have to cut WIP and we had to cut work. So we had to delay work for them. They were a little bit worried, but played along. I worked with the IT department to change all of the lead times in their ERP to 75% of what it was before, because instead of cutting by 50% in the first step, the two ladies decided to do it in 2 steps. So we did it 25%, and later on we did the other 25%. It was a little bit more work because we had to change lead times in the ERP twice. Anyway, 2 months later, we had 45% less WIP, 45% shorter lead times, and that was it. That worked very well. We did get, or the customer did get, more sales because they were faster, and everybody was happy. The next example is Aramid fiber. Aramid fiber is produced in a spinning plant where you pour material in the top and the fiber comes out the bottom and is wound up. There's not much you can do in between because it's all continuous process from the extruder through the metering pumps, through the spinneret, through the wind-up. Nevertheless, I challenged management that we could be able to do more and we could be able to do it faster and be more reliable. So we implemented a color wheel in 6 weeks. The color wheel was necessary because we had 8 different profit centers, all of them selling the same sort of product, not necessarily the same thickness, but the same product into different markets. And all were clamoring for product and all were fighting for capacity on the machines. So we implemented this color wheel and forced everyone to follow that color wheel so that it could be stable. The stability brought us 10% capacity. It brought us 40% less inventory because we knew what we were doing. And we had 95% availability, which was an increase from around 80%. 10% capacity and sales is what we also got. We were close to out of capacity, or certainly out of capacity in relation to the old process. The 10% that we found could be sold, and 10% added sales if you assume 5% margin and 50% materials cost doubles your profit. Here's another example, a key engine part in the automotive industry. Again, we challenged engineering, or rather, the engineering and I were all challenged together to find the constraint. That's what the plant manager did one day. Stuck me in a room with them, and we had to find the constraint and then decide what to do about it. Well, it took an hour and a half of quite hefty discussion and sometimes heated discussion, but we found the constraint. It was a machine somewhere closer to the front, to the beginning of the process. And so I asked the people, is that machine running 24 hours a day like the plant is running? And they said, yeah, of course it is. Naturally, that's the way it's got to be. So I said, okay, let's go and have a look. So we went down into the plant and looked at the first 5 of their 10 lines. And of the 5, 3 were not running because that particular, not necessarily that particular, but that particular machine, the constraint machine, was either being changed over or the person had to go away for a pee break or a lunch break or whatever. In any case, 3 of them were not running for one reason or another. We went back into the conference room and talked about what can be done so that that particular machine, which is the constraint and which does determine how much they can make on each line, can be run 24 hours and never lose a minute, or to minimize at least the minutes that they do lose. There were a number of things we could do, some of which required the union's agreement that we could do that, but they got that done, and in 2 weeks they finished, and we got 1 month later 30% capacity and 30% more sales because they could do it. They became competitive with their sister plant, which was in Eastern Europe, with much lower cost from point of view of people cost. They began to meet their due dates better, and well, like I just said, they were able to compete with their sister factory. So those were 3 implementation stories. I talked about them rather quickly, but I hope you got the gist of it. In any case, part 5, coming soon, will be all about cost. The euros it's going to cost you, the time it's going to take, the investment you have to make, and the return on investment you can expect. We will, or at least you can then be using your numbers to do the calculation. You can use and ask me for the template that I'm going to be using to calculate. You can use that for yourself. I'll let you have it, and you can see for yourself what your potential is for the bottom line. So if you want to talk about it with me, please contact me. We can discuss what you can expect. My contact data is there on the lower right hand side, and on the next page you'll see it again. Here it is. And Alcione Consulting is where I work, or who I work with, and you can see their contact numbers there. They also will be glad to talk with you. So again, okay, well, that's that.